Hi Abe, welcome to Poddster. And what brings you to Step this year?
Well, I'm always here. I think this is my 10th year in a row or something. I always like to come and see the startups, catch up with a lot of the investors, see what's new, what's not. There's always some government initiative that is everybody talking about. So it's always nice to see the ecosystem grow and to see some good old faces like mine. So it's fine. I love it.
What's on the agenda this year? So what's your biggest highlight over today when you were working through different stands, listening to different sessions? So what's your biggest highlight of the day?
Honestly, seeing a lot of really energetic young new talent. So I'm big in talent, and seeing new ideas come in, new faces with an energy on, everybody's utilizing a tool, mostly AI, in order to grow a business or stuff. I saw a very interesting 2 or 3 businesses that I really like today, and I think I generally like them because of the people that are running it. So that's something I would have never seen. And then what's also very interesting is people usually don't know who I am, which is good. I've been in the ecosystem for over 30 years, but the new blood doesn't know that. So you see them, how they react, and it's always an adventure, honestly. So I've liked a couple of companies there, and hopefully we can help them out grow.
How has the sort of how has the from the perspective of who works for startups nowadays and who used to work, let's say 10 years ago, how has it changed in your mind, in your view as well? So you've mentioned some fresh blood, some really talented people representing startups. You used to source people for startups.
Yes, that's true.
So how has that part evolved?
So what's interesting right now is we're seeing a lot more older people coming into startups.
Really?
So back then it was just, energetic, younger, with the occasional person who's got years of experience. But now we're seeing a half and half mix of people maybe learning something or working for somebody for 10 years and then saying, you know what, I can do this better, and then we do my own startup. So,
what does it tell you?
It tells me that, I always thought experience was king. So people with more experience have more likelihood to succeed. But I see a bit of a struggle with these people because they're so good at what they do, but they forget the concept of running a business. The HR, the accounting, the finance, the fundraising. They don't have any experience in any of that. And then they realize it's more of a circular effort to build all of that in order for their startup to, you can be the best coder or the best person that runs something, but if you don't know how to, hire an assistant or work with marketing, it becomes really hard. So they become more team oriented, and I'm seeing a lot of people struggle with that, especially techies.
So do you see that the startup environment nowadays is good enough for senior talent joining the teams on the conditions and the terms that are really beneficial to them as well? Because I think that what attracts eventually a senior talent is the ability of a startup to sustainably
100%.
pay a good salary, right?
Yes. So you said something key, which is good salary. Obviously, somebody leaving the corporate world, going to startup, will never make as a salary. But people forget that there's things that they have to weigh out. Independence, autonomy, you can to do whatever you want. And then hopefully a huge payout in the end, because, if a startup raises a lot of money, or they exit, or they get acquired, that's where the money is at. But if you think of it as a number end of the month, they will never compare. And I think people, especially the older people that I'm seeing, after they get a bit comfortable, and then what happens at their comfort level is they know, you know what, I want to take 2 to 3 years right now and take a bet on myself. And they end up loving it because they teach what they're really good at, and then they also learn a lot of the basic stuff around it. So unless the only people that I never saw really work out very well are bankers, because banking, in my opinion, is a very rigid workplace. So we see these people struggle with that. But other people from other industries,
They adopt.
they adopt and they adapt very well too.
Do you see this becoming a good trend in the UAE market specifically because of the situation with the global brands and the larger corporates shrinking in the region, frankly speaking, not really growing, and startups and becoming and growing proper companies nowadays? Do you see that becoming like a really popular trend of exchanging the talents?
So I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing both SME economies grow, which is, I believe SMEs and startups will be the backbone of any economy, because as the corporates grow bigger, they're applying and automating a lot of their tasks, so they're not really adding a lot more employees. So people need to get jobs, and that's when good founders can find good talent in growing their businesses. Plus the adoption. I think a lot of people, especially in set industries, are getting disrupted by a lot of these founders and startups. So we're seeing the pie getting bigger on the startup and SME side than the corporates. You know, the economy is growing, but they're not only growing with the enterprise, but also growing with the SMEs and startups. And I believe that's a good backbone and a right formula for any ecosystem. And we're seeing it especially in the UAE, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, while other ecosystems in the GCC and MENA, you're still seeing the younger people come into startups and not more seniors, because they think it's it's for the younger. But now we're seeing the opportunity for seniors because they can see that there's going to be a big exit, so now they can take a chance on it.
So, and from founders' perspective, so as soon as the founder, let's say, can afford having various talent in his or her team, so what are the preferences from founders' perspective?
Yeah, so that's why we're seeing a lot of these freelancer platforms and seeing a lot of communities, whether WhatsApp or Telegram. It's, I think, because founders are trying to help themselves. When a founder starts, it's very difficult to start, so they don't want a full dedicated social media person, so they will reach out and say, who can help me out in here? And we're seeing that community effect, and I think that's where the startup community is really benefiting and then when they have more money, then they can dedicate, who do I hire first? As an investor, I used to always ask, who's your next hire? Because I want to know how they think and what's important and what's not. And that gives you a lot of answers on how the way they think and how good a business it is.
So in terms of the talent in the region, that can be a great source for startups or even for the larger companies or for the growing startups, let's say. So what are the niches and what are the areas that you see that are oversaturated, and what are the areas that are undersaturated in terms of skills?
I personally think Dubai, especially Dubai, has developed a very good ecosystems for talent. There's a lot of nomads here. There's a lot of good people moving for good jobs, UAE in general. So it's not but it's getting more and more expensive, obviously, for startups to afford certain talent. I think that's something that really needs nourishing is growth people, like marketeers, growth hackers, because a lot of new tools are coming online and not a lot of people are adopting them, and that's the new form. So I personally struggle with growth, finding the right person to add. Sales is always a topic. I think tech is good. There's always a need for good tech and product people. But I think right now, that whole failing fast concept, you see a lot of startups vibe code something or do something with these apps that come up, right? So So that is kind of taking a bit more. I'm not saying that it can be the future, and I think it will be, but right now we still need the tech people. But in order to prove a prototype or a concept, people are getting away with vibe coding. So that's something that I think, go back to the other pillar, which is sales and marketing, which I believe is needed. And one last thing about sales and marketing, keep in mind, I read somewhere, I was told somebody from the government of Dubai,
Yeah.
40% of the population living in Dubai now moved after COVID. So that's like 1.5 million people who moved here after. So these people don't have a network.
Yeah.
So now trying to build that becomes another task.
It's an interesting fact, right?
Yes.
I think we have a pool of people coming after COVID, and then I personally see a pool of new people coming around 2.5 years ago. Another pool of new people coming in also without the network and kind of working within their own community and serving actually other countries.
Agreed.
Rather than, creating or innovating something on the ground here. But that goes also to show probably the diversity of Dubai as the region that serves the region itself, but also as a hub for, for
expansion into the other side.
for different global territories. I think the biggest issue is how to maintain Dubai being affordable for people who work remotely.
Yeah.
Whether you can actually work remotely and stay in Dubai.
Sure.
I'm not sure how much stories like that do you see now and whether it is sustainable.
Well, you bring it with all these people moving in, with people, rents are going up through the roof. It's becoming really hard to sustain. But then again, you can always look at, I've always depended on having some back office people in other countries. Keep in mind, I think 80% of the world lives 8 hours by flight from us.
Yeah.
And I think 30% live within 4 hours or something. So you can put people in India, Pakistan, Jordan, Egypt, Lebanon. There's all these markets they can have. And then, there's been a formula of that. So, and I know that the government here is trying their hardest to see what they can control when it comes to dropping the cost of living. Because it is, getting way more expensive than we first started. Keep in mind, I started in Dubai's ecosystem in the mid-2000s, where Dubai was, rent was a third what I was paying now,
Exactly.
right? So, but I'm sure they have a plan in order for us, this country, to keep growing. They're gonna have to tackle these growing pains.
No, I think we are in a very, very good time in Dubai. It's ambitious, it's active, it's energetic. It attracts a lot of different businesses and people to come in and build from here. And as any probably big city at this stage, it would be challenging to see how to sustain and how to stay here, right?
Yeah, I think it's. The only thing I keep telling people is stay tuned. Keep in mind, I grew up in the UAE. When we used to drive here in 1995, the first thing I used to see was Clock Tower in Dira. There was nothing here. And look, in 20, 30 years, they've built all of this. So I know, we're right now in this phase of build and expand, but I'm sure this country has worked so many different things, they'll figure something out, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure as well. So thank you very much for stepping by. And best of luck on
Thank you,
a big return.
Thank you, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Take care.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks.